But my topic today is not on something that is happening every day. So you must forgive me. It is not something as practical as forgiveness or as many other spiritual disciplines and things that we usually study. My topic today is on a very, very unique event that never happened before and will only happen once in history. So, I must tell you that it has no parallels. It has never happened before, and when we don't have some precedent in history, it is difficult for us to relate to what is coming yet. Most people believe that the way everything is going, it's going to be going straight, it's going to be going in this direction. But the history knows very sharp turns, and we are just coming to the sharpest turn in the entire world history. And this turn is a great deception. The great deception that Jesus had warned us about. Satan has been deceitful and has been deceiving people for many centuries, for millenniums already. But the last deception is going to be very different. He is preparing his best or his worst for the last. And I believe that we are to see it very, very soon. Even my mom, she's been a Seventh-day Adventist for decades, for many decades, but she always believed that we are not really near the end. She is a very sincere soul, and she says what she believes, and she always believed that we have some few generations to go. But today she told me, my son, I believe that we are at the time of the end, at the very time of the end. And if my mom, who's always been so, stubborn to believe that the end is near, now says that the end is near, it is near. And friends, what would it be? What will it be for us to live in those days? Well, we know those are going to be most challenging days, but there is just one aspect that I want to share with you this morning. The greatest, I believe, deception that Satan prepares for the whole world, even to deceive, if it is possible, the elect. And this deception, I believe, as Jesus said, is in coming of many messiahs that produce lots of miracles and give lots of great signs that would overwhelm people and that would make people believe that those are the true messiahs. Jesus says about many messiahs coming at the time of the end. And I touched upon this topic a few times, at least I tried to, but for some reason it is not very welcomed, or it is not very common, or it is not very acknowledged in the Seventh-day Adventist Church yet. And no wonder Jesus warned us that Satan will do his best to deceive even the elect, if it is possible. And I believe that we are God's elect people, that we are his chosen people. And we cannot afford to be deceived over this lie, over this deception of Satan. And at the same time, nobody is talking about it. I looked and looked and looked on internet, searching for any Adventist perspective, for any Adventist sermon on this topic, and I failed to find one. No, I did find one that I promised you to share with you, that this is the sermon by brother George Vandeman. George Vandeman was, most of you would know him. He was a great evangelist in in 80s, in 90s, in 70s, and he's done so much to advance the gospel, and he brought so many people to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and he's always been one of my favorite preachers and teachers. Remember how he looked like? Here's George Vandeman. He always almost looks like me if I shave. Yes, and you know, friends, I never retell other people's sermons. I never preach other people's sermons because you know, I have too many of my own, and I let other people to preach their sermons. But this morning, I want to make an exception. I want to share with you a sermon that Brother George Vandeman had preached. You know how many years ago? 50 years ago. 50 years ago he preached this sermon that I was happy to come across some 30 years ago, and it was one of the first articles, it was one of the first sermons that I had translated from English to Russian. So I was still practicing, you know, I was working at the time at the very first Christian newspaper at the Soviet Union. It was still the Soviet Union, and I was the chief and editor of this newspaper, and it was one of the first articles that I had translated myself, you know, from English to Russian. And this article, this sermon, left a great impression on me. And later on, I hope to hear more of this kind of sermons, but somehow it never happened. It never happened. So the reason, friends, I'm sharing with you this sermon, and I will read parts of it this morning for you, is not because I'm not able, you know, to come up with a sermon like this, but because I want to share with you what's been taught and what's been preached by our brethren 50 years ago already. And ever since this time, ever since this sermon was published, I couldn't find any sermon on this topic in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The topic of this sermon, the title of this sermon is, as you know, Toys of a Fallen Angel. And it's dealing, as some of you might have already guessed, with UFOs and with aliens. That's not something that we see every day, you must agree. That's not something that seems to be very practical, so why even bother with it? And I believe it's been a logic behind many Seventh-day Adventist pastors and preachers who kind of dropped this topic out preaching agenda. But I believe that we are really, if for George Vandeman, if it was important 50 years ago, how much more important it is now, especially this year, friends. As you know, on June 25th, the US government declassified those previously classified files on UFO and on aliens. And those files are go in thousands. So numerous institutes, numerous individuals in the world, they study, they classify, they investigate those reports, those cases, and it's been already officially recognized by most governments that not only UFOs but the aliens do exist. And friends, the impact of it, the consequences of this, we cannot even imagine what is coming, what would be the consequences of it. And I cannot, as a pastor, as a preacher, as a teacher of the church, I cannot be silent about it. If you know, there might be some more practical issues to preach on, but I know that one day it will become the most practical and the most essential issue. So let me first share with you some few pages from this sermon. What are those mysterious lights that covered like cosmic dancers across the night sky, following us, eluding us, dazzling us with their technology, luring us with their mystery, baffling us with their uncanny tricks? What are these strange things that bob up and down like illuminated yo-yos over our hilltops and our highways, our airports and our cities, defying our restricted airspace, skittering away when we point a powerful beam of light their way, and generally frightening us out of our wits? Am I going to tell you the UFOs are real? No. Am I going to tell you they aren't? No. It doesn't matter whether they are real or not. Something very real is happening to millions of people. And that does matter. Let me say it once more. Whether or not UFOs exist is not the question. Whether they do or not, something is going on. People are involved with something, whether it is real or unreal. People are letting their lives be completely changed by UFOs. People are making a religion out of UFOs. People are blowing their minds and losing their minds over UFOs. People are being injured by UFOs. People are being controlled by UFOs. We need to stop quibbling over whether they are seeing them or not, or riding in them or not, or telling the truth about them or not, and get on with the business of discovering, if we can, the source of the phenomena. For that, we desperately need to know. You know, he said it, he preached it 50 years back. 50 years back. And you know, every year the amount of sightings, the amount of evidences about, you know, from people seeing those UFOs doubles. And this year it tripled already. It's not reached the end of the year already, but the amount of evidences have tripled. Maybe it is because people now have those cell phones, they can always capture those images. Maybe those appearances became more regular, more often. I don't know, but people are talking about it. Everybody is talking about it except Christians. And I think it is dangerous. It is most dangerous for Christians to ignore this problem. Let me tell you something funny. Last Sabbath, we had 16 people to come and visit us. 16 people, and some of those people came from my internet ministry, and some of those people are from my former students. But anyways, 16 people came to visit us, and we had very amazing, very blessed Sabbath last week. So anyway, somebody brought up this topic about the UFOs, about those, about seeing those strange flying saucers, about those objects that fly. And 6 out of 16 have shared their own stories how they had an encounter with UFO, one way or another, their own personal experiences. And those are all, well, most of them are Seventh-day Adventist people. Most of them are Seventh-day Adventist people. So, and I also had to share my own experience. I think I mentioned to you, you know, about 50 meters from where I am right now, where I've seen this ball of light, you know, exploring over my pond, going back and forth and kind of, I don't know, doing something. And then when noticed me. It just got up, maybe some 20 meters up, and was gone in 3 seconds. It was behind horizon, and I was with the witness. I was with my neighbor Vladimir, who passed away a few weeks ago because of the COVID. So I've seen it. Many people have seen it, and there'll be many more. And now with all these declassified files, there'll be much more discussion about it. And I can tell you, friends, from what I see, how people react to those appearances, how many Christians, even many Christians react to those, is really troubling me, because I see that people, even Christians, even some Seventh-day Adventists, they tend to believe that they might be some aliens that have some advanced technology, and they might come and help us with technology, and maybe even they've been helping us around for a while. Not too many Adventists, praise God, believe that, but many more Christians share this view. They do believe in Jesus Christ, as they say, and at the same time they believe in those aliens. And they believe that those aliens might come and bring us a better technology, and even, bring us peace, as, those people would come from more advanced civilization, from a better place, from a better world, and they will bring us technology, and they will teach us how to live in peace with one another. Those are the expectations of many Christians today. And we cannot even start estimating the kind of danger that comes from it. And I don't know, I have no idea why is it that we are not touching upon this topic, because it is going to be, believe me, one of the hottest topic, maybe the key topic in the last days temptation, in the last challenge that Satan brings to this world, in his last attempt to deceive even those who are elect. I'll continue reading. Something is going on, and nothing is gained by trying to tell experienced pilots that the planet Venus is roaming around between them and the ground. Nothing is accomplished by telling a pilot that the squadron of brilliantly lighted craft that executed incredibly difficult maneuvers at high speed, frightening close to his plane, was nothing more than plastic garment bags with lighted candles inside, released by some teenage boys. Whenever debunking becomes ridiculous, it only acts as a boomerang that quickly destroys the credibility of the debunker. We cannot just keep on debunking it or ignoring it or attributing it to some, lighted candles. No, there's something is going on. My Bible tells me about a host of intelligent entities, terrestrially based, who could easily be back of the whole phenomenon. Listen to what it says. There was war in heaven. Michael, Christ, and his angels fought against the dragon, Satan, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Revelations 12:7-9. Verse 3 suggests that a third of all the angels of heaven sided with Satan in this senseless rebellion and were banished to the earth with him. That's a lot of angels. Angels now turned demons. Here we have a vast number of intelligences, once extraterrestrial, created to inhabit heaven, but now operating right here on this earth. And they have the advantage of being able to work invisibly, hidden from our sight. And though banished to our planet, they still have the brilliant minds of angels. They know more about technology than men have ever dreamed, and they have supernatural power within the limits that God has set. Jesus warned us that in this end time, our planet would be overrun with false prophets and false miracles. He said, many false Christs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and miracles to deceive even the elect, if that were possible. Matthew 24:24. Did you notice? Miracles to deceive. That's why the miracles are worked. And now, to the book of Revelation. Revelation 13, verses 13 and 14. They are spirits of demons performing miraculous signs. It's speaking of an agent of Satan here. And notice, it doesn't say miracles which he tried to do or miracles which he pretended to do. No, it says miracles which he had power to do. And those miracles are for the purpose of deceiving those who dwell on the earth. I know that many attempts have been made to explain the sightings as due to natural causes. For years they have been blaming the moon or temperature inversions, light retractions, migrating birds, clouds, mirages, stars, marsh gas, ball lightnings, and of course the planet Venus. But there are patterns in the sightings that soon rule out such explanations and indicate that intelligence of some kind is back of the UFO activity. For instance, in a great many cases the UFOs fly right up to the state line but do not cross it. Why don't they cross it? Certainly meteors cannot read our maps. There are more sightings in isolated areas and in the late evenings, suggesting that UFOs or the occupants usually prefer to keep the activity secret. There are more sightings on Wednesday and Saturday nights. Can the phenomenon read not only our maps, but also our calendars and our clocks? Some intelligence must be involved, and it doesn't take long to see that the phenomenon is not natural, but supernatural. You know, friends, I'm so grateful for this sermon. I haven't finished reading it yet. I just want to reflect on it briefly. I'm so grateful for this sermon, and I'm so grateful to late Brother Vandeman for touching upon this topic because, as I said, for some reason it is a no area. You know, nobody goes there. Nobody preaches about it. We just laugh at this. We just ignore it. But the time of ignorance has passed. He's been writing 50 years ago, and now we have 1,000 times more information that was available in those days. Thousands times more, and now it's been officially declassified and it's been studied by many institutions, and there'll be consequences. I believe that it is not over yet. It is just a beginning. It is just a rehearsal. What we are yet to see is the certain beings, certain aliens certain aliens who would pretend to be messiahs, who would pretend to be saviors. You know, friends, I don't want to make an impression that every flying object, that every ball of light or whatever it might be is satanic. I don't think so, because even Jesus, when he was born, the star appeared and it led those wise men to Bethlehem. So an angelic host. It was produced by the angels of light, not by the angels of darkness. But I'm saying that the angels of darkness, they are quite capable of producing a similar phenomenon. And not only that, but also to appear to be the messiahs, the saviors. And at the end I will tell you why they are aiming to present themselves as those coming from another world to save us. It's very important, and the Bible has something to say about it. But let me read you some more. We are dealing here with intelligences who are able to alter the perceptions and produce paranormal states of consciousness. They are able to alter the observer's sense of reality. Powerful imagery is projected upon the mind for the purpose of altering the individual's beliefs and making him a tool of the system of deception. This may explain the reports of contactees being abducted and taken aboard a UFO. 50 years ago he is saying it. It seems that hypnosis can trigger the account of an abduction experience in almost anybody. That is that is anybody uninformed enough and unwise enough to submit the mind to somebody else. It is probable that these contactees were never taken aboard a flying saucer at all. Remember that these entities are able to manipulate the mind and induce a trance state. If you were to come upon a contactee at the time of his alleged kidnap experience, you might find him standing rigid beside his car or alongside the road. He is not going anywhere at all. What is happening to him is happening only in his mind. It has been implanted there. Do you begin to see now how dangerous any involvement with UFOs can be? Take the kidnap experience, for instance. You may say, if it never happened, how can it be dangerous? But nothing is more dangerous than what happens to the mind. The individual thinks the abduction happened, and his whole life may be changed by the distortion of reality. And of course, that is what the phenomenon is all about. Its goal is to alter belief and behavior and make the contactee a tool of the system. Friends, as you read those reports, and so far they are just in a bulk form, they're just a mess, they're just presented in a chronological order. But as you read some of those reports, you see that there are many people who had the contact with those phenomenon, and as a result they received a certain knowledge, a certain technology. In fact, there are many claims now that some of the technology that we enjoy now, maybe even this technology that allows us to be in touch 1,000 miles apart, has been helped by those entities, by those beings. There are many discussions now about the scientists, about the scientific institutions being involved with those phenomena and being one way or another in contact with those supernatural beings, receiving a certain amount of information that allows them to develop certain technologies. And there are technologies in this world, friends, that we cannot even imagine. Not everything is on display, not everything is available to us. So it is very, very dangerous. So there is already an attempt to manipulate this world, to manipulate the people, especially the most influential people of this world. I'll finish reading this sermon. The man who becomes involved with UFOs in any way is in great danger. But the man who denies the existence of the phenomenon may be in even greater peril, because he is unprepared for the personal encounter that may be in store for him. And you know, it may be in store for all of us. It may be in store for all the humanity, as Jesus has warned us about, you know, Satan and the false messiahs coming with lots of signs, with lots of miracles. To deny the reality of the unseen world is to be engulfed by it. What do these elusive entities want? What is the purpose of all this worldwide propaganda? What is all this leading up to? You will see. And I promise you, it's something bigger than you think. 50 years ago he said so. And nobody dared to repeat. Nobody dared to touch upon it. And it's too bad. But it's not too late. What we are witnessing is not overkill. This army of deceivers is not preparing to swat a fly. They have a real extravaganza in mind. Satan and his demons would love nothing better than to destroy us all now, but lacking God's permission to wipe out the human race, they will content themselves with making toys of the uninformed and the reckless. Be assured that Satan has no love, even for his own. He toys with them a little while, plays mischievous games with them, feeds them nonsense, laughs at their troubles, and then throws them away like paper dolls that have begun to tear. But friend, not one of us are toys to Jesus. Each one of us to him is of infinite worth. The value of one soul can never be estimated except as we see what it cost him to set us free. See him walking straight on, with his eyes on Calvary, never turning aside, never turning back, because you were lost, and the only way to save you was to die in your place. See him in face-to-face combat with the enemy, gaining for you the victory that could never be yours without him. No, friends, that's a powerful sermon, and I'm grateful to the Lord that 30 years ago I came across it and I digged into it and I translated it. And you know, as you do something like this, as you translate it, as you edit it, as you publish it, as you share it, it becomes part of you. It becomes part of you. And ever since this time, you know, I was kind of mindful about those things. But this year, it came to a critical point when the humanity is facing, let's make it clear, an invasion of those false messiahs, of those false angels. And you know, friends, there is a reason why it's happening now. In fact, there are many reasons, because we live at the time of the end, and that's the kind of a deception that Satan had in his store for us for a long time. He's been nourishing it, he's been orchestrating it, he's been, preparing it, he's been setting the stage for it, preparing, masses of people, preparing, political elite, preparing scientists. So everybody's ready now. Everybody's ready, And friends, you see, Satan was also expecting, and rightly so, the proclamation of the three angels. Let's turn for a minute to Revelation 14 and look at the message of the first angel. You know it by heart, and I do, but let me still read it. Revelation 14, verse 6. Then I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach to those who dwell on the earth, to every nation, tribe, tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give glory to Him, for the hour of His judgment has come. That's the time of the end. That's the time that is upon us. And worship Him who made heaven and earth and sea and springs of water. Now, friends, I will make it short, as our time is technically speaking over. But there are now a mounting proof that's been shared by millions of truth-seeking people on internet, on YouTube, that prove that all this, nonsense about monkey business, about Charles Darwin, about evolution has no future at all. There are so many proofs now from everywhere, from every walk of life, from every branch of science, that the world has been created, and this world has been maintained and sustained. And that's what people are starting to see. It is, we are presented with all this evidence. The evolution is no more working. And what do you think Satan is going to do? Well, he's been, for a couple of centuries, he's been playing this evolution game with us. He's been playing this monkey game with us. And when this game is over, he's not going to say, hey, look, yeah, I lost. Really, there is a God who created all this. No, he's not going to say it. He's going to send us some other creators. He's going to send us those fallen angels who would pretend to be the aliens who centuries, millenniums ago, have created this world, have designed it, and planted the life and sustained it ever since. And we have to be very grateful to those aliens that they have brought us alive, and that they saved us and brought us so far. And of course, they're going to save us now in our difficult days. They know how to run this planet. They know how to run people. They are from the advanced civilization, so they will bring us peace, and they will bring us. And it's not contradictory. You can still believe in Jesus. You can still believe in Jesus. Yes, Jesus is great. Yeah, but those people are also cool, right? That's what the Satan's last deception is all about. That's what I came to believe a while ago, but as I said, it is difficult to share it with anybody, because it is a topic that nobody touches for some reason. And I backed up myself this morning with the authority of my beloved pastor George Vandeman. And I believe if he would live in our days, he wouldn't ignore this topic. If he touched upon it, if he explored it 50 years ago, how much more he would be exploring it now, when we finally live in the days when this deception is right upon us. Of course, friends, there are many more deceptions, there are many more temptations in this world, but this great one is not to be ignored by us. I know many Seventh-day Adventists who just laugh at this and who say, no, it's just nothing, it's just, those things, they don't exist, they do. And never underestimate the creativeness of Satan, this great deceiver. And I'm quite sure, friends, I'm quite confident that this deception will not deceive you. No way, it won't. I'm pretty sure. I know you, I know what you stand for, I know some of your hearts, I know some of your minds, I know you won't buy on it, but friends, a great deal of people around us are buying it too easily. Even our brethren from other churches, from other denominations, even our neighbors, even our family members, they believe in it. And friends, if not for your own sake, as I said, I'm quite confident in you and in your soberness of mind and in your knowledge of the scripture and understanding of the situation, but for the sake of those people around you who will buy into this temptation, I've been sharing with you those thoughts, and I hope that you are now equipped. It's not that difficult, right? It's very simple. I think you are now been well equipped to share the truth with those people who are wavering, for those people who are not sure how would they perceive the aliens. Share with them, tell them the truth, tell them that in the last days Satan will send lots of false messiahs that will make all kinds of miracles and will deceive many. Help them to realize before it comes, because when it comes, it will be too late. You won't be able to explain to people. There will be so many great doings done by those beings that people will be absorbed, people will follow, people will buy whatever they bring to them. So it must be done now. It must be done now. If you know those people, if in a company of friends or family members or other church folks, you come across this conversation about the aliens, warn them that there is only one Savior who is coming to save us, but there are many so-called messiahs who are coming to deceive us. And may the Lord bless us and seal us in these difficult times, that we might meet the Lord